After being given only a non-exclusive franchise tag after an MVP season, Lamar Jackson has announced on his Twitter that he has requested a trade from the Baltimore Ravens. The two-time 1,000-yard rusher at quarterback wasn't able to reach a deal with Baltimore and has expressed his displeasure with his team not valuing him. I'm Carlos Garcia alongside Joe Callahan Jr. and Jett Snyder. Guys, is Lamar in the right here?
I absolutely think Lamar's in the right here because if you just look at this $32.5 million price tag that's been put on him in comparison to some guys that we've recently seen signed, especially Derek Carr in New Orleans, who's getting, I think, 37.5, and then Danny Dimes in New York's getting 40. He's obviously going to leave. Like, I don't know if they had a plan in place before this, like to reach a different number, and that just didn't work out. But the moment they put this $32.5 million contract in place, this non-exclusive franchise tag, that's when Lamar Jackson was gone. He's not going to stay. He's an MVP. He's 26 years old. He has so much ahead of him in the future. I think he's probably already the most electrifying pure dual threat in the history of the league. He's totally on pace to pass everything Vic did on the ground. Yeah, like overall, there's no reason for Lamar to stay on the Ravens on that deal. It just makes no sense. It's total disrespect, and I have his back. I think he should go.
The relationship is ravaged, and the reason why is because Baltimore, as an organization, tried to swindle Lamar Jackson. Here's what they tried to do. So you have a 26-year-old MVP, former MVP, with 2 1,000-yard rushing seasons as a QB. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that doesn't happen. So you have an MVP caliber team, and you talk about the QBs that are in the AFC that he's going up against. You could talk about Patrick Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, and Herbert, and he's not going to, match up against the throwing ability of him. Lamar Jackson is Baltimore's entire offense.
100%.
We've been talking about trying to get something for Lamar Jackson to put a weapon against him when all he's had is Mark Andrews, and we'll get into where they actually gave him. But what they did was they sat back and were like, we're not going to give you money. We're going to sit there and we're going to wait for other teams to then offer you. So that's why they got the franchise tag, because the non-exclusive franchise tag lets other teams make a bid and then the Ravens can match it. So what happened was Baltimore was going to sit back and said, we don't have to do anything. We don't need to negotiate a price with you. We'll get the price. We'll match whatever they say, because we don't want to give you a lowball number if you're going to be our QB and disrespect you. Meanwhile, it disrespects it anyway, or a high ball and overpay him. So what they did was they sat back. Now, when you talk about players to put on that team and weapons to give Lamar Jackson, we're talking about every QB that's up for a contract where you're giving him nothing. He has no weapons. We've said that about Aaron Rodgers this entire time. The Jets are throwing their franchise away for a 39-year-old guy who went in a dark room and decided, oh, now I'm playing again. They went into a situation where Aaron Rodgers they want to get weapons for Aaron Rodgers. Cool, we gave you Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, a studded O-line, Jair Alexander, a studded out defense, and now we don't give him enough. Tom Brady, same thing through his whole career. We don't give him enough. Randy Moss, Brandon Cooks, even though he got demolished in the Super Bowl. Rob Gronkowski, Wes Welker, Julian Edelman. Throughout his whole career, they're giving him at least something, or at least trying. Ravens have done nothing. The best 2 things in the offseason or the draft that they've given him is obviously Mark Andrews, but Hollywood Brown and 45-year-old Des Bryant. So yeah, I mean, I would be disrespected too, wouldn't you?
100%. To me, the craziest thing is, you're right. Respect to Des, throw up the X, legend. They've given him nobody. They've said they've gotten Duvernay, they've gotten Hollywood Brown, they've gotten some guys that were playmakers in college, but not necessarily elite receivers. And then the one elite receiver they have, Rashad Bateman, has been in and out a ton. And they've pretty much just said, hopefully he gets better for you, Lamar. Like, till then, you're just going to run the football. And you're just going to control the whole game.
Who's going to go out for Lamar? Who should put out the draft picks in order to get Lamar.
I want to see him on the Falcons. That would just be sick. It's not even like, I think it's a good fit too. I think he could go nuts with Kyle Pitts. He's obviously used to using his tight end a lot. Obviously, he feeds Mark Andrews all the time. Drake London's down there. They got a younger team, some high picks. I think that would just be an exciting new chapter for him because I really do think, like you were saying, it makes sense what Baltimore was trying to do, but just from my perspective, the moment you give the level of a quarterback that Lamar is that offer, it's over. It's done. He needs a whole new start, and for that reason, I hope he does go to Atlanta.
I agree, but I don't know if Atlanta's the right place because I don't think that. So the Ravens are just going to sit back and say, oh, because of the franchise tag, the price is the 2 first-rounders. They're going to want Pitts in the deal. They're going to want someone in the deal more than those 2 first-round picks. They're going to want a third. They're going to want a third. They're going to want Kyle Pitts. They're going to want somebody. I think that the only team that has something to give and still retain enough to try to win is Washington. But it's hard in their division because they have Scary Terry, they have Chase Young, and they have other places around where they can still, okay, we'll give up one, not the other, and still have a team to put around because they have a young defense that's up and coming. Their offense is underrated. I feel like at this point, they've thrown out their franchise for Carson Wentz, and that was obviously the disaster it's been. Everything with Dan Snyder and that organization, so they need something to put butts in seats. But the issue is with me is I don't think would you leave in the situation that Lamar's in because you know that number one, well, I understand the character issue with him and the organization, but if I'm the Ravens right now, I don't know if I'm willing to give him up for that much because they know that I don't know if any other team is going to give 3 first-rounders. So they're probably going to make the asking price insane. So what's going to happen is they're going to want everything under the sun. And I think that Washington is the only one in place where they're going to give that price tag and still be able to retain something that Lamar would want. Other than he's going to a team that's going to give up everything for him and he's going to go to a team and it's only going to be him.
So I understand that a quarterback like Lamar should come with a hefty price tag and a big playmaker attached in that trade package. But I also could see this relationship just having gone so sour at this point where he's not going to play. Like if nothing were to happen, I don't think he would play on that non-exclusive franchise tag. I personally think he probably could have come back at the end of the year this year, but he wasn't going to do it because they haven't given him his respect and given him his money. I think they should. If I was the Ravens, I would. I think they're not even going to have an opportunity anymore because they messed it up so bad. You know, Lamar's going to have to figure out somewhere that he can get his bag, and it's just not going to be the Ravens. So I don't think he's going to be there for much longer for sure.
I think it ultimately comes down to whatever happens with Lamar Jackson is going to be where Lamar Jackson goes. But I think right now at this situation, this little scuffle between the two teams for the last 2 years is going to turn out into a lose-lose. That's where 100%, I sit at. But
100%.
wherever Lamar goes, if they're able to retain or put stuff around him, at the end of the day, that's going to be scary. It's not going to be for Baltimore.
And it's just fun. And it's just going to sell tickets. And it's going to, your quarterbacks. If I was on a random, I don't know, say I'm a Titans fan, just random team, we get Lamar, like waking up like it's Christmas morning. Like that's just, whoever gets Lamar is going to have some fun. But I guess we'll see who that's going to be.
Well, guys, it'll come down to who's willing to give at least those 2 first-rounders that are required to trade for a non-exclusive franchise-tagged player. For Jett, Snyder, and Joe Callahan Jr., I'm Carlos Garcia.